Venezuela is cheap for the rich and expensive for the poor. Today we discuss.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
Venezuela has a particular socioeconomic dynamic, and the thing is that it works differently for each stratus, each individual, if you consider the pecking order. Venezuela, of course, we know that a lot of issues, socioeconomic issues, and right now the status quo is that the country first regarding economics is de facto dollarized. So that affects a lot of people, affects everyone. Now let's talk first the good thing about being de facto dollarized since late 2018 to early 19 is that first we have stability regarding the currency. That is excellent news for each entrepreneur, business owner, and self-employed. Now, the bad news is for the people. This goes for the people that mostly that work for the government. They are public employees, but still they have a compensation that is pegged to the USD exchange rate. That's also other thing that happened since 2018 is that we have free conversion. We don't have currency cap, currency exchange issues that we had in the past. One of the biggest reasons that actually the Venezuelan economy was dreadful, just, during a decade, we have that collapse, something to mention and just explain for other video. But the thing is that we have free conversion of the currency, and that also help a lot the Venezuelan entrepreneur, Venezuelan businessman, and any self-employee. Now, when you see that in Venezuela we have $5 per month salaries, that is very inaccurate, because what happens is that basically the minimum wage of $5 per month is a peg, is a reference for the public sector. And this peg is mostly for people that are underemployed, people that actually are employed, are on the payroll, but they are not actively working. Affects mostly the pensioners, the retired individuals here in the country, but it's not a big deal regarding the economic active population. It's not like, let's say you start a business here in Venezuela, you are not going to hire free people for $5 per month. That's not going to happen. The private minimum wage is around $200 per month. And even people on the public sector, depending on how important are for each government agency or government industry, they have a lot of compensations besides the $5 per month. That usually goes $200, $300 per month. Of course, it's paid in bolivars under the official exchange rate. So those $5 per month incomes go mostly to retired people that are retired, pensioners, and so on. And depending on the structure of each individual contract, and goes against that. But de facto, the salaries, believe me, are not $5 per month. Actually are on the neighborhood between $200 and $500 per month. And on the lower cases, could be something like $120 per month. That is still very low in order to make ends meet within Venezuela. Now, in order to make ends meet in Venezuela, we have the basket, the food basket that you will need in order per household, in order to cover basic expenses. It's going to be around $400, $500 per month for a family of 4 or 5 people. And the full basket of goods and services is going to be on the neighborhood of $1,000 per month per household. So if a family of 5 or people, talking a married couple with 2 or 3 kids, and covering food, healthcare, education, transportation, and basic leisure and hospitality expenses, is going to be around $1,000 per month. So if we go with the Maslow pyramid, I'm going to put it right here, in case you don't know, is this pyramid of human necessities in order to be fulfilled in life. And the bottom of the pyramid is the basic expenses, the basic necessities, food, shelter, and other nuances that you need to cover. And afterwards, you have to cover leisure and hospitality and so on. And afterwards, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but you reach the self-fulfillment in order if you pursue a purpose in life and so on. Now, how this plays out in economics, also there's another studies that have been replicated in many parts of the world, I believe in Germany, in India, but mostly in the United States, that you need $80,000 per year in order to be quote unquote happy financially. And afterwards, if you make more money than that, it's not going to increase significantly your happiness in life. Of course, that number was from many years ago, so right now it must be over $100,000 a month in the US. And with similar amounts, of course, adjusted for the local economies, same experiment has conducted in Germany, in India, and other places. And basically, if you have, the bottom line is that if you have sufficient income yearly in order to cover basic expenses and some discretionary spending, afterwards, when you cover basically every meal, every necessity, I'm talking basic, like, food, shelter, education, some leisure and hospitality and so on. Afterwards, your excess of income is not going to make you more happy. Now, how does it play out in Venezuela? Well, we discussed the $1,000 per month that you will need in order to cover the basic expenses. Now, the issue is, since the now going dollars and cents within Venezuela, is that we had a crisis. Let me explain you how the Venezuelan economy worked before the crisis, talking until early 2010s. The country was neither cheap or expensive. The thing is, thanks to the oil revenue, we had a lot of subsidies and also issues regarding the capital controls here in the country. So there was an official exchange rate and a black market exchange rate that used to be double of the official exchange rate, and it was rising and rising and rising because it was less official supply of official dollars. So you have to go to the black market, and that increase a lot the USD and euro and hard currency valuation or against the Venezuelan dollar. In case on those cases where the demand outstripped the supply. Well, what happened is that most of the official exchange rate it was implemented in order to import medicine, food, also covering trips to the international trips and international education. So depending on the necessity, it was de facto subsidized with the oil revenue, because most of the dollars used to come from the oil revenue, and still is the case, but not as a biggest share right now. Very good. So that made that everything that was imported back then, I'm talking some necessities, most necessities, and I'm talking construction materials, many things, and also the gasoline, because Venezuela has the cheapest gasoline in the world, explained many times it's not the case right now, but at the moment it was actually right, it was practically free, the gasoline here in the country. So a lot of expenses that back then in Venezuela, with a minimal income, were basically covered, and afterwards you can use it on discretionary spending. After the crisis, those subsidies starting to disappear, but also we had, with the Venezuelan government, eliminated the capital controls on 2018. Now we have to pay the real value of everything here in the country. Also, the supply chain suffered a lot, and we are restructuring our own domestic supply chain here in Venezuela. That makes everything more expensive because right now most of the population has been impoverished. So the demand for, nice things, quote unquote, imported goods and services and cars and leisure and hospitality and so on, only the population that actually can access those particular goods and services is less, and hence you don't have you don't have a more efficient economics of scale, and that, of course, the unitary price is actually more expensive for the average consumer that actually has the purchasing power in order to access to such goods and services. Talking like scotch or craft beer or going to a restaurant or fancy travel, leisure and hospitality, and so on and so on, and also clothing and apparel. Of course, basically every discretionary spending, but also the basic spending, food, medicine, and so on, since basically it's not subsidized right now, increase their price, and also the people who work on these particular supply chains, the producers, the distributors, the retailers, and so on, have also their prices have increased as well. Now they have to sell on a premium, and not everyone has access to paying such premiums comfortably, and that's why we have, let's say, inflation in things like food and also discretionary spending. So the bottom line is that for all of those necessary spendings and some basic discretionary spending is expensive for the average Venezuelan. However, when you go with the high echelons of, let's say, the top 10, top 5 socioeconomics of the Venezuelan population, the life that you're gonna have is gonna be cheap. I'm talking, you can have a luxury life in Venezuela, cents on the dollar, compared to what you have on Western nations, and even some rich pockets of other parts in Latin America, like Cancun, Tulum in Mexico, the nice places in Mexico City, also the nice places in the capitals in Latin America, like Buenos Aires, and also Sao Paulo, also Bogota. Well, Bogota has a great ROI still, Medellin not as much, but you get the idea. So when you go up, so you are, let's say, on that $1,000 per month household echelon, below that is going to be difficult to make ends meet. However, afterwards, you have this transition, let's say, you have this transition area between $1,000 and $2,000 per month that in Venezuela, that's high middle class. And you can make ends meet, but you don't have that much room in order to have a lot of discretionary spending. However, after $2,000, $3,000 per month, and I will say 5,000 and up is when you can have a luxury life. It's gonna be cheaper. What things that are considered luxury are gonna be cheaper, because afterwards you have a lot of discretionary spending, and that discretionary spending can be manifested on, I'm not gonna say assets, but I'm gonna say expensive things that retain value. For instance, a car. A car is a liability, it's not an asset. However, something that is a long-term asset, and it's going to retain some value. So you can have a nicer car on those particular brackets. Same thing, you want to, I already covered this in a previous video. A boat, I'm not going to mention an airplane because it's very expensive, but let's say a boat. You can have a boat on those echelons, on those income brackets. Also, you have a lot of discretionary spending for trips and so on. And let's say more fancy clothing, more fancy apparel, more fancy consumer discretionary spending, going to restaurants and travel and so on. And if you go a little bit higher, you can also save up in order to get a property, let's say $100,000 property that is very, very, very expensive for the average Venezuelan. But for the high end of the society, you can get a nice property on 100,000, 200,000, depending for the location and the amenities and so on. And that could be luxurious. A property that here in Venezuela costs $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 can cost millions in other parts in the world. And also we have $1 million properties that will be something like a $10 million property in a Western nation, and you have access to those. And of course, you're going up and up and up and up on the socioeconomic echelon. And afterwards, you get actually the cool things of living in Venezuela, in Latin America. Venezuela is a very fun country with a lot of amenities and so on after you cover your basic needs. One of the reasons why many people migrated to the out of the country, and it's because they have a lot of difficulties in order to make ends meet, and of course, thanks to the economic situation, However, when you cover certain threshold, you can have access to start having access to the amenities of living in Venezuela. Very cool country with fun people to hang out with. Of course, if you're Venezuelan, you have your family and so on, and your close friends. You're an international, you can make friends easily, and you will start going up. You are gonna have the fun things. First, the material things in life, talking nice homes, nice discretionary spending, and so on. But at the same time, you have the intangibles. Nice beaches, nice, of course, nice nature, also nice access to the fun discretionary things, but also the ability to hang out with people more easily compared to many other nations, especially other, well, not other, the whole Western nations, but that doesn't happen that much. And for instance, in order to have this lifestyle, let's say in Miami, for an example, living in Brickell, in South Beach, a place like that, you will need something around $250,000 per year, and not in order to have access to such a lifestyle. But in Venezuela, it's going to be a fraction of that, and of course, other parts in Latin America. But the bottom line is that if you have, let's say, a rich lifestyle, it's going to be way, way easier of course, to make money. It's going to be way, way easier to make it here to elsewhere in the world. However, making ends meet, I'm talking compared to other parts in Latin America, is going to be harder compared, to other parts in Latin America, like I mentioned. But afterwards is when you make the transition, is when you can have a reasonable, good standard of living compared to other parts in the world.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again, and have a nice day.